Good evening, everybody. We are so excited for you to be here with us. This is our fourth virtual cooking challenge, Chopped, and we're just really excited that you're here with us to showcase your cooking abilities. And thank you, audience, for joining us, cheering on your colleagues and peers. My name is Sei Lee, and I am the Program Director for the International Students Excellence Programs, and I will be the moderator for our event tonight. Next slide, please. Before we begin, I'm going to introduce our judges. We're going to first introduce Professor Julia Lupton. She's Professor of English as well as the Director of Illuminations. Welcome, Professor Lupton.
So happy to be here, Say. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Julia. We have Chef Jessica Van Roo, also the Director of the Culinary Education at UCI.
I'm excited to see all the great things you guys made with Spam.
And last but not least, our Judge Yong Chan, Professor of History, also our faculty advisor for the International Students Excellence Programs, my program, and also the lead of the Network for International Student Engagement and Inclusion Committee.
Already excited and hungry for the food.
We also have our program coordinator for International Peer Group Scholars Program, Steph Tran, who will be assisting with the scoring for tonight. Thank you, Steph. Next slide. All right, so you have received the list of 4 mystery ingredients for this fall edition challenge, and one of the ingredients was a particularly peculiar one, Spam. Another was rice paper, chickpeas, and coconut milk. Do any of the judges want to provide a commentary or comments or anything in regards to the mystery ingredients?
Well, I would have had trouble coming up with a good menu using those things. So I'm very excited to see the creativity of our anteaters, our Spam eaters.
Well,
So
this is a very exciting, very intriguing list. All 4 of them, 4 ingredients are very interesting. But for me, the Spam is particularly interesting. Bringing back childhood memories. And also, Spam has a very interesting history. It is a food item that started I think in 1937, in a small town in Austin, Minnesota. And during World War II, it became very popular in England and also in the Pacific theater. And so a lot of people in Asia became fascinated by this very yummy and very convenient food, and it came back to the U.S. and became a sort of a side dish. Okay, and before it made a comeback, and it has, in the U.S., in Hawaii, it became a very, very important food. It's a very integral part of the a local dish. It's called local poco, and also it became popular in part because of the ban on deep sea fishing. So in Hawaii, a lot of residents engaged in the industry were Japanese Americans. So it became very popular among Japanese Americans, and who developed Spam-based dishes such as misubi. And so I can go on, but fascinating. I'm a historian.
No, that's all really interesting stuff. And so for those who couldn't have Spam, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, we gave you a vegan Beyond Meat sausage. So some people got to experience that for the first time too. So maybe we'll see some of that tonight too.
Thank you, judges, for just providing some history behind Spam. And I guess without further ado, we'll just proceed with just friendly reminders of how the judges will be evaluating each of your dishes. Next slide. All right, so the 3 different criteria the judges will be evaluating your dishes will be based on the presentation, the creativity of it, and last but not least, I would order it scale. And 15 points are the most points you could earn from one judge. And I have to add that this is quite a group of really, really aesthetically pleasing dishes. That's just a summary of all the submissions. All right, next slide. All right, this is our very first submission, and it is titled Aloha Spring Rolls. A short description is that it's a spicy soy glazed Spam spring roll with roasted cumin chickpeas, vermicelli noodles, crisp lettuce topped with lemon coconut peanut butter reduction. And I'm gonna open up the floor for anybody during any point where you want to contribute more about anything about your dish. Please feel free to unmute yourself or add anything to the chat box if you wish. All right, judges, take it away.
What order do you want us to go in?
Could we go, could you go first, Julia, and then we'll have Chef Jessica and then Professor Chen.
Sure. Well, that is beautiful. I guess I would give it a 4.5 for presentation. It looks restaurant ready. I like the way the plate is used, including the kind of use of the dressing there, the reduction, very elegant. So for presentation, I would say 4.5. And then the next category is taste, is that correct? Is presentation?
Creativity.
Creativity, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, a spring roll is kind of what you do with the rice paper. So I guess I would give it a 3.5 for creativity. And for would I order it, I'm gonna give it a 4. I think I would be very interested in tasting this in a restaurant. Maybe a little richer than I would normally. I'm not sure how I feel about that butter, but I like all these flavors together and I'm kind of curious.
So I will give the presentation a 3. I think it's a pretty plate, but I think it can be cleaned up a little bit, just a little bit more with that sauce on the bottom. For creativity, I'm gonna give it a 4. Yes, we gave you spring roll wrappers, and I'm waiting to see something happen with this. Obviously, the spring roll would be the thing to make, but this is done really nicely, and it's not easy to work with these rice papers, and so this is really, really well done. And would I order it? Yes, I would, because this person took the initiative and made something crispy with those chickpeas. And so they roasted the cumin. So you're going to get like different textures in there. And so I think that's a really nice, a nice touch. And so I would order it. I would say a 4.
Yeah, for presentation, my score is 4. I think it's beautifully presented, and again, I just want to see the different parts to be a little more connected visually. And for creativity, I think it's 3.5. It's because I don't know. I mean, just the spring rolls it itself. I would like to see more clearly. What's in there and the relationship again. Between the different pieces. Would I order it in a restaurant? I'm not sure. Depends on what else that's available. So I'll give it a 3.
All right, thank you. We're ready for the next one. Coconut rice pockets with peanut sauce. So the rice paper is translucent, and this chef used different vegetables: zucchini, green onions, carrots, spam, and chickpeas. They were sauteed with ground ginger, wrapped together with a semi-sweet coconut rice to balance out the saltiness of the spam. They were wrapped in bite-sized pieces, accompanied with the coconut milk-infused homemade peanut sauce.
So I go first again, or do you want someone else to go first?
Go ahead, Julia.
Okay, wow. Well, presentation, I just love the translucent rice paper where we can really see this kind of mosaic of very nicely chopped vegetables in there. It's very, very appealing. I think I would give it a 4.5 for presentation. Not sure about that bowl of sauce just kind of sticking out at the side there. That could be a little bit more, elegantly dressed, I think. But the items themselves are very attractive. Creativity, I like the fact that it's not just a spring roll. The idea of the pocket is starting to indicate that the rice paper is being worked up a bit and rethought. So I would give it a 4 for creativity. And for would I order it? I would give it a 4. I think I would definitely want to try this as an appetizer. I think I'd be very curious to see how all those things feel and taste in my mouth.
All right. So I too think it's really, really pretty. It's like a mosaic. It's really, you eat with your eyes, and there's a lot of pretty colors there. So for presentation, I'm actually going to give it a 4. I too would have made a coconut peanut sauce, and that is not easy to incorporate and make pretty. So I understand, but you could maybe put some in the middle, and that would have been cool. So the creativity, I also give it a 4. I think it's really cool how you actually almost made it like, you took it almost like nori or sushi paper, and you made almost like a sushi, but then it was like a translucent sushi. And so it's really pretty. And then would I order it? So this is where I'm going to have to give it a 3.5. And the only reason being that because it's rice paper, I have a problem with it having rice inside too. For some reason, rice noodles sound okay, but rice inside rice papers just doesn't sound right. But it gave me that idea of sushi.
For presentation, I would give it 4.7. I think this the chef did a great job in taking advantage of the translucent rice paper, and I really love it. The fact that the chef packed so many different colors, and inside the rice paper. And I agree with the previous 2 judges. I think the sauce can be put can be placed differently, either in a different place or in a different container, right? So that's why it's not a 5. It's a 4.7, and in part because of for the reasons that I've indicated. For creativity, I would give it a 4.5. And if I would order it, I would certainly order it, because of the colorfulness and because of the green in the background. That brings back sweet memories of the spring season. And when I order it, when I see this dish, I could just ignore the color of the visual effect of the sauce. The sauce could be very very tasty. So I would certainly order that, and that's a 5.
Right. And here's our next submission. Curry Callzone with garden salad. Here's a quite descriptive description of the dish here. It was Lebanese, a modified version of Lebanese curry, and creamy yet light curry with flavors of onion, carrots, and grated apple coming through the spice mix, along with hints of coffee and chocolate underneath. And the Spam were infused into a meatball, and it was seasoned with ginger, garlic, cilantro, cutting out some of the pleasant flavors of the Spam, and then fried. The fried meatballs were then added to the curry, along with pureed chickpeas. The curry was wrapped in 2 layers of softened rice paper, then a layer of dough, and it was brushed with honey, egg wash, baked, and it is a calzone empanada, and that's fragrant and enters your mouth, but the taste doesn't linger, leaving a subtly sweet aftertaste. Sounds like I just opened up a cookbook or like a cooking magazine. Beautiful.
You want me to still start? Okay, so, wow. I love the writing. We should have an extra category here as an English professor for the food writing that we're seeing. This is really fun. Presentation is good. I guess I would give it I keep giving 4.5s for presentation, but this is a very beautiful, you told us this, we had a very beautiful collection of dishes tonight, and I think you're right. I like the way it's cut open. I like the little bit of a landscape effect with the kind of mountain of salad behind, with this, capped with the dressing. So that's very nice. Creativity. I mean, it's interesting that it's a calzone, although I feel that somehow using the dough plus the rice wrapper is somehow hiding the rice wrapper inside a different kind of wrapper. So I wasn't sure about that. And I'm not sure about having meatballs inside a calzone. I feel like it should be a slightly more integrated filling rather than being sort of broken up into smaller parts like that. So I guess for creativity, I would give it a 3.5. And would I order it? I wasn't sure about, I guess for just a personal thing, the element of the sweet in there, the coffee, the chocolate, the honey. I couldn't tell whether this was a brunch or a dinner dish. So I think probably a 3.5 in terms of whether I would order it.
All right. So for me, it's funny how we all see things differently. When I look at it, I actually am not as turned on as Julia is. And so I give it a 3.5. And this is why. It might be just because of the way that I'm looking at it. But to me, I can't tell what that dressing is on the lettuce. And it just looks like it almost looks like whipped cream to me. And so I'm getting like 60s vibes with like Jello. And so it's really interesting. But for the creativity though, I agree with Julia that I feel like this person might've been trying to hide the rice paper. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Oh, chickpea meringue, very smart. So that's aquafaba. Ooh, that person shouldn't have said that. because that's extra credit then. No, that's using all parts of the can. So I gave the, creativity a 4. Because I really think that they took it out of the box and really try to do something interesting with this, including adding all those flavors. And Spam, just to transform its flavor, it's not easy. So using that curry mixture would definitely do something. Would I order it? Yeah, I'd give it a shot. I'll give it a 4. I think that it'd be really interesting. Just, I don't know what happened to the rice paper. I'd be really interested to see. Does it create an extra texture? There's a really famous Vietnamese dish where it's just rice paper shredded, and it's really hard to eat. It like doesn't dissolve really, and it's just really chewy. So I wonder what baking it would do. So I would say a 4 for if I would order it.
I think it would take a distinguished English professor to deconstruct, this very complex dish. So the one of the adjectives that came to mind when I was thinking about this dish is, it's I don't know, it's maybe murky. It's so it's a little unclear, what is what. So because when sometimes when a diner looks at a dish or desires a dish, and that diner may have some particular ingredients in mind, right? I can't find the rice paper, and I don't know if it has Spam there, right? And also, the chef used a very interesting adjective to describe the flavors of the Spam, unpleasant, right? So it would be a rather unpopular adjective when used in places like Hawaii or Tokyo. Yeah. Or for presentation, I give it a 3. For creativity, while I still don't know if the dish would work, right? But I admire the fact that the chef tried to pack so many different ingredients into this dish. Spam now can be is found in upscale restaurants in places like New York, and in Hawaii people use it for cooking pizza. Okay, so for creativity, my score is 4, and because it is murky, right? That's the adjective that I would use in characterizing this dish. I would actually order it in a restaurant, just to find out what's in there, how it tastes like, and whether it would work to pack so many different things in this food. So in the last category, my score is a 4.5.
All right, we are actually gonna now change up the order in which the judges present their scores, and we're gonna go with Professor Chen first for our 4th submission.
Okay. Did I say something wrong? Or?
No, we're just gonna take turns going first, and after 3, we're just gonna change up them a little. So you're doing great, Professor Chen. Thank you.
All right, my turn. Simple words to describe this very simple dish. Simple, elegant, and appealing. So in the 3 categories, my scores are 4.7. Creativity, 5. I would order it, yes, 5.
Go ahead, just Chef Jessica.
All right. So this is really pretty. Fried rice paper. It almost looks like a tortilla on the bottom, and I almost want to call it a taco. I almost feel like you could have taken it to the next step and made a taco out of this too. So for presentation, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Creativity, I'm also going to give it 4.5, and I would order it 4.5 as well. It's really pretty photography too. The angling, the lighting, everything was done beautifully with this dish.
Beautiful.
I agree. This is like a really good photograph. I think that gray plate on that wood table with the background blurring, and this is really almost like you would see, in a magazine. It's very nicely done. And it makes the food look very appealing to have it filling the plate just a little bit, and it doesn't look overwhelming. It's really very attractive. I'm going to give it a 5 for presentation. And creativity, I really like the fact that it's not a spring roll. I like the fact that the rice paper is fried and becomes a kind of a different sort of carrier for the product. I like the idea of a coconut chickpea curry. That sounds it's straightforward, but very tasty. Not as complicated as some of the other dishes. So maybe for creativity, I would give it a 4. But for ordering, I think this I really would want to have on my table at a very nice restaurant. So I would give it a 4.5 for ordering.
I sometimes have to refrain from saying things, but we're ready for the next one.
Ooh.
Yes, here is our 5th submission, Spam al pastor tacos with rice paper tortilla chips. So I wanted to say that all the things you were hoping for kind of here. I think Chef Jessica said something about tacos. Yeah, you, Professor Chen.
Yeah, I'm digesting the information in front of me, if not the food, because it's unfortunate that I cannot physically access the food. Yeah, and so again, I think this represents a very creative effort to introduce Spam to Mexican cooking. Right, Spam has entered many different cuisines, and so I like that. What is unclear to me, a little bit unclear to me, is what is the feature ingredient or ingredients over there. So again, I don't know. I think people's tastes change from time to time. And today, I'm just in the mood for simplicity, perhaps. Okay. So the multiple ingredients appear to be a little, make the dish a little too busy to me, maybe. And as I commented on the first one, when I see a dish, when I try to decide, whether this is something that I would order, right? I'm always trying to find out the culinary relationship between the different ingredients. And to me, that is a little unclear to me, right? So with all that said, my score for the presentation is 3.5, and the creativity is 4. I really like the idea of making a Spam taco and using rice paper tortilla chips. Okay, so I think that's very creative. So it's a 4. Whether I would order in a restaurant, this one I'm not sure. Again, nowadays you go to a restaurant, the menu often have color pictures of the dishes, right? And if the menu doesn't, you can find such pictures online. So, looking at these pictures, I don't know if I would order it. So I'm a little neutral on this one. So that's 3.
All right. So I have to say, this reminds me of when I was in culinary school. When we were in culinary school and we were given ingredients and you had to make something with it. In the beginning, this is what we would do. We would almost separate them and we want to showcase each of those ingredients. And so this person took the time to actually take each of those ingredients and highlight each of those ingredients. And so I don't think we actually said you had to use them all, but with chopped, they usually do. And so I really, really wanted to give more for the presentation, but it's interesting because it's like you almost, I can see all the components and it all makes sense. That's why. And so for the presentation, I give it a 4. The creativity, I give it a 4.5 because I really think that they tried really hard to get these ingredients to come together. And then would I order it? Definitely. I would say give it a 5.
Wow. Oh, it's so interesting to hear you guys talk and to kind of connect and relate to these dishes. For presentation, I felt like the colors are all kind of similar in the guacamole. I wasn't even sure what it was until I read the description several times. I feel like that's kind of stuck at the side there with the rice paper. So I feel like it's not quite for me, and maybe this is what Chef Jessica liked about it, but it felt a little disparate, a little lacking the unity of some of the other pieces. But I was really impressed by the fact that there's also these coconut milk smoothies, that the coconut milk comes up again as an ingredient for the drink. So that was interesting. I feel like those tortillas are a little messy and they look hard to eat. So in terms of presentation, that's sort of a negative for me. So I think for presentation, for me, this would be a 3. But the creativity, bringing these ingredients into a Mexican vocabulary is really interesting. And so I think I would give it a 4 for creativity. And would I order it? Probably a 3.5. It doesn't appeal to me quite as much as some of the other dishes, but it's very impressive work and it's delightful to see it.
Right. The next submission is a little spam in your purse. Lightly air fried purses filled with curried potato, red bell peppers, chickpeas, and spam, topped with chopped scallion and cashews. Professor Chen, would you go first for this?
You're muted.
Sorry, I said everything that I needed to say when I was muted. So let me repeat myself. Very interesting dish for the presentation. I've liked the picture. I mean, I like the title. It's very poetic. I think, yeah, in my imagination. But I would like the photograph to be focused on the main dish, on the food, on the dish itself, right? As I'm looking at the picture right now, you have the tabletop magnified in front of my eyes, and also magnified the chopped scallions, right? So I really don't. I mean, I cannot see the food very clearly. Cannot visualize it very clearly. So for the presentation, my score is 3. And also because everything is it's filled in the purses. I cannot see it, and how it's mixed, how it's how the food are the ingredients are interacting with each other as I speak. So for creativity, I think it's also a 3. If I would order it, maybe. And maybe because I again for the same reason, because I cannot see it, right? So it's a 3.5. Yeah.
So for me, I love the name. So the name will get to the creativity, but the presentation, I'm gonna have to give it a 3. And mainly because if I think of something as even lightly air fried, I would think there's a little bit more color to it. And for all I know, really air frying rice paper does just produce this. And so that might be it, but I gave it a 3. For creativity though, I gave it a 4 because of the name. And you also took it out of the box. You definitely didn't want to make a spring roll. You knew that that's probably what most people were doing, and you didn't want it to you didn't want to fry and deep fry it. And so you took it out of the box and made something creative with it. But would I order it? Probably not. And it's probably just because if something's fried, I expect a little bit more color. So I give it a 3.5 for if I would order it.
Yeah, I love the name too. English professor here, but words win me over. I think the presentation is a 3 for the reasons that have been said. I don't really understand the surface that it's on, if that's really a plate or whether it's just on a counter, but it doesn't look hygienic. It looks not appealing in terms of that surface. Creativity, it's the coconut milk and the curried potato. I'd like to see the coconut milk listed here, although Say said that we don't have to have all 4 ingredients. I was a little surprised not to have the coconut milk listed out, but the idea of the purses is really clever, and the bringing in the air frying is a different technique. And so you have a sense of somebody working with some new tools and trying to do something different here. So I would give it, I guess, a 3.5 for creativity, because I'd like to know whether the coconut milk is in there or not. And then would I order it? This looks fun. And I would, if I saw something that said purse on the menu, I'd be kind of interested to see what that was all about. So I would say a 4. And there is a question here in the chat about whether all the ingredients need to be used. So maybe Say could comment on that.
Yes, all 4 ingredients do need to be used. And yes, you're correct that in the description, it was not included. So,
but if it's in the curried potato, I mean, curries often have
yeah.
coconut in them, so maybe it's implicit there.
We'll have to, okay, the submitter has messaged me privately and has clarified that it was used in the curry.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
All right, so just a recap of so far, we've had spring rolls, we've had rice pockets, we've had calzone, we've had curry, tacos, and spam in a purse. And here we go with a pierogi, a Russian pierogi with lardons. And if you have any comments, audience, or some this beautiful dish, please feel free to use the chat box or unmute yourself if you are present. All right, if not, we will let's change it up. Yeah, Chef Jessica, if you don't mind leading.
I've
Thank
been
you.
reading. Yes, I've been reading, and pierogies are definitely something that is not easy to make. And this person definitely went out of the box and even made a chickpea coconut milk farmer's cheese, which is incredibly hard to make if anybody's ever made vegan cheese before. So for scores presentation, they tried. And so I'm going to actually give this presentation a 4. I think if I can, I believe it might be dill or some kind of parsley or something finely chopped on top. It was just a little bit more, it would have popped a little bit. The ingredients we gave you are not pretty ingredient colors to begin with. We understand, but I can see there was an attempt at that. For creativity, definitely a 5. I'm reading this and it's definitely somebody that took this and took it way beyond what I would have expected, including using liquid smoke and wrapping the spam in on the rice paper to make it crispy. All of it sounds amazing. And would I order it? Definitely. So I would actually give it a 4.5. I know everyone might be looking at it and thinking, why would I order it? But I think it's the description actually that's selling me on this right now. I don't think the picture is doing this dish justice.
Shall I go next? This is really amazing. I mean, I think going from rice paper to pierogi is quite an interesting cross-cultural leap and imaginative leap. And I think the writing is really good. I love the reference to lardons and to batons of spam. It's just very sophisticated food writing here. It's very clever. I like the presentation. I like the fact that it's a full aerial view with the black plate on the patterned mat. We're not getting weird counter or extraneous, settings. We're really getting a real attempt to kind of give us a close-up of this food. So I would actually, for presentation, give it a 4.5. And for creativity, I think I would give it a 4.5. I mean, this is really very special. And I also respect what Chef Jessica said about how challenging it is to make this farmer's cheese, which, I would never even dream of attempting. And would I order it on the duck fat? I mean, pan frying this in a small amount of duck fat until the outside of the rice paper was crisp. There's a kind of knowledge there of your cooking fats and their different attributes. And that's kind of impressive and obscure. I shouldn't be so seduced by obscurity, but I am a scholar who loves her footnotes, and this feels like a footnoted dish. So I'm going to say yes, I would order it a 4.5.
Yeah, so I was looking at the dish, reading it, and listening to the thoughtful comments of the previous 2 judges. I became more and more fascinated by this dish. I think part of the fascination comes from the description. Okay, very detailed and very enticing. Okay, why it's enticing? Just a couple of examples, right? The pierogi was boiled in a herbal coconut milk broth, right? That's that yourself, it's creative, it's creative, it's fascinating. And to pan fry this in a small amount of dark fat, that's yummy, right? That's the adjective that this description brings out. I have recently at home, we've been using a lot of dark fat. Okay, it's extremely tasteful. Okay, so and then you put the stuff there until the rice paper was crisp, right? So you got a texture over there, right? Anyway, coming back to the scoring for presentation, again, this is a dish that the more you look at it, the more you appreciate the depth, the complexity, and the potential. So now I'm looking at this one and think, I want to know the restaurant in which this dish is cooked. I want to know the chef, the professional who cooked this dish, right? The presentation. At first I thought, okay, I'd love to see more colors there. But if you look at the pattern of fabric, the color of the dish actually goes along very well with the background. Okay, so for presentation, it's a 4.5. For creativity, it's a 5. Would I order it? Certainly. I would follow this dish, the restaurant and the chef. 5.
Amazing. All right. So here's Japanese style chickpea curry with spam gatsu. Definitely inspired by Japanese cuisine. We got the curry with sauteed onions for extra flavor and flavored, and chickpeas, coconut milk in the curry. And the rice paper is crushed as a breading for the spam.
So I like this a lot. It's simple, yet out of the box, because not something that you would normally do with spam and not something you would do with rice paper, but it looks very comforting. And so it's like a comforting dish. And so for presentation, I really like the way it looks. I'm just a stickler for something green on the plate. And so I would say if you could just pop it with one extra color, otherwise the photography is beautiful too. So I give it a 4. The creativity, I'm also going to give it a 4. And then would I order it? Definitely 4.5.
This is very appealing. I like the circular dish with the rectangular spam. There's a kind of a modernism to it, that's very nice in terms of presentation. Again, I like that overhead view where we really can see the food, and it's like we're talking to the food. It's like a portrait of the food. There's a face there. It's facing us. It's very nice. So I would give it a 4 for presentation. And for creativity, the rice paper is being used as a breading. So I think this is one of the first examples we have here of the rice paper really not being used as a wrapper or a surface. We had those tortilla chips, but here it's really kind of changed in terms of its functionality. So I thought that was very creative. And so I would give it a 4 for creativity. And I agree with that description of it being comforting and yet sophisticated. It's kind of combining those two things. I do want some fresh mint or parsley or cilantro or Asian basil or something in terms of the color. I do agree with that comment from Chef Jessica. Would I order it? I really like soups and stews, things that I can eat with a spoon. So this would be hard for me to resist. So I would say a 4 for ordering.
Professor Lupton, you can also enjoy it with chopsticks, not just spoon. Spoon. As Professor Lupton pointed out earlier, as scholars, we love footnotes, right? And in addition, as scholars, we also love to quote other people. So allow me to quote Chef Jessica, right? Simple and out of the box. That's what she said about this dish, and that's how I feel about this dish. It's seemingly simple, but it's actually not that simple. If you look at the footnote, when you read a book, a scholarly monograph, sometimes the most insightful stuff is hidden in the footnotes. And this is the case, right? The title is a little too ordinary, right? It's descriptive, right? But if you look at the footnote, so to speak, the description, the meat, the juice, the good stuff, it's all there. The curry sauce is homemade and completely made from scratch. Speaking of out of the box, right? Speaking of effort, of creativity, and but I would like to see a more imaginative, appealing title, right? Because when you go to a restaurant, a menu will not give you so much space for all the footnotes, right? Avoid it this way. I cooked it this way. Yeah. So, but in any event, for presentation is a 4.5. For creativity, no, it's did I say 4.5 or 3.5? It should be 3.5. Okay, but creativity is a 4.5. Would I order it? Only after I have read the footnotes. So it's a 4.
All right, so this submission was pending a title and description, but I have it here with me, fresh off the press. It is hummus with biscuits. It's a pasta brisée with hummus, and the biscuits are done with Parmesan and seaweed sheets. The bottom, what you see holding the hummus are fried rice papers. And we'll have Chef Jessica go first, followed by Professor Lupton and then Professor Chen.
And Say, can you put that language into the chat for us so we can also see?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, I was just going to say somebody made hummus. And so I had my ideas of what I would have done, but I definitely was going to make hummus with it. And I was going to make a coconut hummus actually. And so I was waiting for somebody to make a hummus of some kind. So presentation wise, I think the angle of this picture probably doesn't do it justice. And so for presentation, I'm going to give it a 3. The creativity, there's a lot of components here. And so I don't know how they all come together though. Maybe it's like a snack tray or like something for snacking. Like I can see this having it with tea maybe as a savory dish. So I can see that, but I don't know if that's really what they were going for. So for creativity, I just feel like it needed to be tightened up a little bit. So I was going to give it a 3.5 and 3.5. And then if I would order it, yeah, I would probably want to try it, especially the seaweed biscuits, but that didn't have many of the ingredients we were looking for. So I would say a 3.5 for if I would order it as well.
Am I next? I'm just going to cut this off. Yeah, I agree that it's kind of a little disparate. I feel like we've got, the starchy biscuit with the hummus, but I wouldn't necessarily want to put the biscuit in the hummus because the biscuit is already pretty complex and doesn't need it. So I wasn't really quite sure how all these pieces fit together. And in terms of presentation, it's a little monochrome. We do want, again, that little element of green or something there, even a different colored plate to make it a little bit less all of a piece visually. So I would give it a 3 for presentation, 3.5 for creativity, because I am really interested in those biscuits. And would I order it? I am interested in trying those biscuits. And I'm interested in the hummus as well. So I would say a 3.5 to order it.
All right, my turn, I think. Okay, so it's again, as Chef Jessica said, it's delightful to see hummus over there. That's something that I had expected to hoped to see. So that's a plus, right? But just in terms of the different things over there, someone in the audience, just put a very good comment over there, saying that I think rice paper chips someone made earlier would be perfect with this. I totally agree. I think this will be better than biscuits made with Parmesan cheese, Parmesan and seaweed sheets, right? So after all, rice paper is one of the four ingredients, and the picture is the hummus topped with pine nuts. I think that's very very clear to see and delightful to see, but the rest of the things is not that clear to me. So the presentation. I mean, in taking a picture, right? In making a visual presentation, you want to tell a story, or you want to indicate, what the ingredient is, right? So help to guide the audience, right? I think that's what's lacking there. So for presentation, I give it a 3. Yeah, and for creativity, it's also a 3. Okay, and in a restaurant, if I would order it, it's quite likely, especially with the right lighting condition, and everything is contextual, right? It depends on the circumstances, yeah. But I would probably order it, So that's a 3.5.
Right, so we have 7 more submissions left, and due to time and just being mindful of everyone's time, if we could just have one judge provide some commentary so we could move a little bit more quicker, would be great. And yes, as Julia is doing, you're more than welcome to use the chat box as well, judges. Thank you. So our next submission is Scotch eggs and Duchess potatoes. I will let the picture do the storytelling because I think I should not share anything. So judges, please go ahead. We'll have back to Julia go first.
Well, I'm just trying to digest both the image and the description. This is very inventive. I'm glad to see someone using the Beyond sausage since I don't eat pork. So this is something I actually could order. And the idea of the Scotch eggs is wonderful. and an attention to a range of flavors and textures here so that we really have kind of a complete experience of things complementing each other. So it's very complicated, but it is intriguing. So I'm going to give this a 4 for presentation. I mean, look at those Scotch eggs opened up like that for us to see. And this looks like a heart-shaped piped mashed potatoes. Very nice. Creativity, also a 4. And then, yeah, I would order it partly because of the Beyond Sausage, and partly because I think this would be a kind of complete experience. And that would intrigue me. So I would give it a 4, a 4, and a 4.
I would give it a 4.5 for presentation, 3.5 for creativity, mainly because the rice paper, I don't feel like really was incorporated in, and then a 4.5 for if I would order it.
Presentation, I would give it a 5, and creativity also a 5. Wonderful to see a vegan dish here, and I would certainly order it. Every opportunity I get to have vegan food, I'll go to a vegan restaurant. I would do, right? So 5.
Yes, I have a little bit more description for this one provided by the chef. Yang Chow fried rice. So in the fried rice are chickpeas, the fried paper chips on the side, and all the mystery ingredients were left, including the coconut milk is incorporated in the sauce. Oh, yes, the Spam is embedded in the rice.
Right. Yeah, that I can tell.
I should start again. Wow. Well, presentation, I would give it a 3.5. I feel like the dish kind of disappears into that marble table, and I'm not quite, the colors are a little too monochromatic for me. Creativity, I would give it a 3.5. I think this is very, very, it's smart and interesting. We have seen other peanut sauces, so that's recurrent. And would I order it? This is going to taste really good. I'm not sure I need chips and fried rice, but why not? So I would say a 4 for ordering.
So for me, this is smart because this is what I do with all my Spam too. I make fried rice with it. But the presentation, yeah, I feel like it's a little bit bland. And so for the presentation, I give it a 3. Creativity, I give it a 3.5, again, because the rice paper wasn't really incorporated. It was just on the side. And then if I would order it, definitely, because I would make it all the time. So 4.
For those of us who go to Chinese restaurants on a regular basis, right? What's the most common dish that you always see in a Chinese restaurant? Fried rice, right? And but usually, it's in a big container, but now, you have a fairly artistic presentation. So for that reason, 3.5 for the presentation. Which has, the dish has some room for improvement in that category. Creativity, it's a 4.5, right? So this is a dish that has become popular for more than a century in the gastronomical landscape of the U.S. Right? I don't remember if I have ever seen fried rice with a Spam in there. I can clearly tell it's in there, yeah. But that it's a very interesting idea, and also fried rice paper as chips. That's very interesting, yeah. So did I say it's a 4 for creativity? Yeah. If I would order it in a restaurant, probably not, right? Because when you go, I mean, this is not necessarily negative about being negative about this particular dish. It's because whenever you go to a Chinese restaurant, there are so many choices, and in my aging process, the stomach space that I have is becoming more and more limited, right? So for that reason, if I would in the category of where I would order it in a restaurant, it's just 3.5.
All right. Alpine Spam Wellington is better than Gordon Ramsay's. For those of you who are not familiar with Gordon Ramsay, he is a well-known chef, also known for his temper. All right. Julia,
And for his
would
use
you-
of language.
Oh, yes, and his use of language, but famous chef.
Okay, so we got to go faster here. I know we're over time. I don't know. That spam looks very thick and dense there, like it's all spam. I think that would just find that overwhelming. And I'm not sure how I feel about Wellington. Spam and a Wellington, it feels a little bit like, the lipstick on a pig idea. So I'm not convinced, but it's very ambitious and it's certainly creative. I would give it a 3 for presentation, a 4 for creativity, and a 3 for ordering.
I agree with what Julia said. It does look very dense and salty, actually. That's what I would say. And so I would say for presentation, 3.5. For creativity, though, I would give it a 4 because you know what? You tried and you even went as far as putting the mushrooms in between the layers to really try to make something out of something that might not be that tasty in this form. Would I order it? I would say a 3 because I am just not a fan of Wellingtons.
You're muted.
Sorry.
I'm done. Oh, sorry.
For presentations, 4.5. It's 3.5. Okay. And for creativity, I would give it a 4.5. For anyone who's willing to challenge Gordon Ramsay. Okay. And I won't elaborate on that. And then for the last category, that's 3.
Well,
Yes, go ahead, Julia.
okay. Well, I love I really like the presentation with the chips creating this kind of flower mandala beneath the dish, and then being repeated in the center. So there's been some real thought here to the styling, although I'd still like that little bit of mint or cilantro in there. We have seen other chickpea coconut curries with spam slices, and we've seen chips before. So it's original on its own terms, but we are seeing some recurring solutions to the problem. So for presentation, I would give it a 4, for creativity, 3.5. And for ordering it, I would probably order this a 4.
So for me, I agree. The presentation is pretty, but it does need that little bit of green. So I'm going to give it a 3.7. And then for the creativity, I'm also going to give it a 3.5, 3.5, just because it is something that I feel like would have been what you could have easily done and come up with when you were given these ingredients. And then would I order it? I definitely would. So I give that a 4.
You're muted.
For presentation, I would give it a 4.5. I don't know if for utilitarian reasons. I don't know whether the chopsticks belong there, you know. And creativity, it's a 3, and in the third category, 3.
Chocolate spring rolls with spam, cheese, panko, Melanese is the title dish.
Oh, this is a lot, isn't it?
Yes, it has quite a few fruits in there, banana strips, apples, nuts as well, cashews, coconut powder. And I think this chef was inspired by their cheat day. They wanted to do both sweet and sour and spam and cheese on their cheat.
Well, I would give this a 3.5 for presentation. It's a little out of focus. And I can't really see all these components and make sense of them. In terms of creativity, I'm not sure how I feel about the word dessert being used here, because I feel like in a sense it's 2 courses combined in one. I'd be happier if it were presented as a brunch where we might have a sweet and a savory on the same plate. It just feels like a lot going on. And I'm not sure I want that desserty chocolatey thing with my spam and cheese. But it is creative. So a 4 for creativity. And then I probably would not order this. I think I would give it a 3. It's just a little too much. I think I would be overwhelmed.
So yes, there's a lot going on with this. For presentation, I would give it a 3.5 as well. For creativity, they definitely tried, but I think it's the step above that went kind of overboard. And so for creativity, I'm going to also give it a 3.5. And then for if I would order it, I would give it a 3 because I just don't do sweet and savory very well.
So 3 for presentation. I just hope to see something in the plate that would hold all the different pieces together, creating a sense of unity. Okay, and creativity. I appreciate the effort. I don't know if the efforts have produced the intended result, but the effort is there. So 3.5. Lastly, 3.
Tom Khan wonton soup a la pantry with rice vermicelli. Vermicelli is Korean rice noodles. So this chef incorporated a lot of fresh pantry food items, and spam is the main protein in this wonton soup.
Well, I love the fact that the Fresh Basic Needs Hub is being used here as a food source, and we are featuring them at our next Conversation Kitchen event on November 16th. So that already wins my heart over to this particular, as well as does the soup. And I like the way I can see all these different ingredients in the soup. They're pretty. It almost looks like a botanical drawing.
Yeah.
These elements. So I'm going to give this a 4 for presentation and a 4 for creativity, and probably a 3.5 for ordering it.
So I just posted the link if you're interested in joining that food pantry event. We're also going to give out chili kits. And so I just put that link up there. Whoever this is speaks to me because Thai food is one of my favorite things. And so for presentation, I say a 4. I love the colors, that nice coconut in the background. Creativity, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think this is really stepping it outside and just coming up with something cool and fun. And I would definitely order it. So I also give that a 4.5.
Whenever I go to a restaurant, look for things to eat. I always look for stories to listen to. As a way to appreciate the food that I'm going to eat, and also the community where the food is located. Okay, so UCI Fresh Food Pantry. Just looking at those words, this tells a remarkably wonderful story. Okay, so in any event, for the presentation, it's a 4. I would take the spoon out of the picture. Creativity, 4. What I would order it, certainly 4. Yeah.
Right. Our last submission for fall edition of Chopped is Cuckoo's Nest. A pastel with saffron infused chickpeas, coconut milk sauce, and it's topped with peon sausage and a side of spicy rice puffs made with the rice paper.
Let's have Chef Jessica go first for our last one.
This is a pretty one. And I know people are going to get mad because I actually don't think the rice paper, as much as it's not a part of this dish, I feel like it is because of how it looks. Actually, it helps with the presentation. So for presentation, I'm going to give this a 4. For creativity, I'm going to give this a 4.5. And if I would order it, I would also give it a 4. This is a really, really pretty dish. Again, it needs a little bit of green, but I think that it's the name and the whole idea. It speaks a really pretty story.
It's, oops, go ahead, Julia.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, I love the storytelling. I think it would be better on a plate with a little bit of color so that the rice paper would pop a little bit more. So I would give it a 3.5 for presentation. I would give it a 4 for creativity. And I would probably order this. I'm going to say a 4.
Yeah, for presentation, 3.5. And for creativity, I would give it a 4.5. The words are few, but the stories are hidden in those words are multiple. Right, bird's nest itself, contains so many different stories and histories, and then you put that together with saffron, right? It's intercultural exchange, and I put it in simple language. So creativity is 4.5. Yeah, I certainly would order it 4.5.
Okay, as we are finalizing the scores, we have a few announcements from Illuminations. And I could start with our announcements. So for International Education Week happening November 15th through the 18th, on the 18th, Anteater Test Kitchen and ISCP through the Campus Climate Council will be having an event called Build Your Own Rice Bowl, and we will have different ingredients from across the world featured in part of your rice bowl that you make, just like Chipotle style or Buddha bowl style. And that will be happening in a few weeks here. And I will pass the mic to Julia for other announcements.
Fantastic. Well, you've already heard that we're featuring fresh basic needs Hub on November 16th. And that's going to be a really great event celebrating this wonderful Grown at UCI institution, founded by students for students and now supported by the campus as well as the community. And then we also are featuring Pride Tamales, a holiday event. And that is going to be, I believe it's December 2nd. And it's going to be a gay pride event that will feature tamale making and also opportunities for people to talk about what the holidays mean for people who might have conflicted relationships with their families and create new families, new kinship groups. So I think it's going to be a very meaningful event. And I believe there is a tamale kit component. So Chef Jessica will be providing some ingredients. It is a remote event. We are coming back to the kitchen, assuming that things remain on a good track with the virus in the winter. So this will be, but we'll still be remote this quarter, but you will have a chance to cook tamales along with Chef Jessica. And everyone is welcome, allies, LGBTQ plus, come in a spirit of tamale love.
So for that event, we're going to be giving everyone 2 cooked tamales and then a kit. So then you'll have something to eat. So if you don't want to make a tamale, you don't have to. But yes, feel free to email me if you have any questions about either of those events coming up, or at all 3 actually.
Fantastic. And thank you, Chef Jessica, for providing the mystery ingredient boxes for this chop. And the moment you've been all waiting for it is now time. So for our student undergraduate division winner is coconut chickpea curry. And the winner is Hannah Kupier. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
It's Hannah Kuiper, and thank you.
Hannah Kuiper, congratulations. You won a $75 Amazon gift card, and we'll be sending that to you after this event.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, judges.
All right, and for our PhD graduate student group, the winner is coconut rice pockets with peanut sauce. Tree Dong is the winner. Congratulations, Tree.
Thank you so much. It's actually trending. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Trin. My apologies. And last but not least, from the staff group, we have Danielle Job with the Russian pierogies with lardons. All right, fantastic. Thank you all for being a great audience, judges. It's just always a delight to hear all your commentary. I learned so much from you, and just your expertise of food history to English professor to chef really brings different perspectives to seeing the greatness of these submissions. And thank you all, audience. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll see you soon in for our next in-person Chopped. See you
all.
again. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I learned so much.